Hi, welcome to the Rittners Floral School in Boston, Mass. I'm Dr. Steve Rittner, and it's a pleasure to welcome you into one of our classrooms today. We've got a neat video for you. I think you're going to find it really a fun one and an interesting one. I've always said that the reason we look good as floral designers, well, of course it has to do with our talent and our skills, but it also goes back to our manufacturers, our wholesalers, and our growers. They're the ones who really make us look good. And today's demonstration, I think, is a good example of that, because there are tools that we discover that are made available to us through our manufacturers and wholesalers that can really make a big difference in terms of your designing, and really make your designing quite easy and enable you to do all kinds of cool things. And this video is going to show a secret weapon that we've discovered here at Rittners Floral School that we really like, and I think you'll like it too. This is called a Table Deco Holder, a Table Deco Holder. The Table Deco Holder is made by the folks at Smithers Oasis. It comes in 3 different sizes. Like the 3 bears, there's a small, a medium, and a large. But they're not all that big if you think about it. This one, the medium one, is about 6 inches. The large one is around 8 inches, which is fairly small as containers go. And I don't mind telling you that the first time I saw these bases, when the folks at Smithers sent us some and we started to look at them, I looked at it and I said, okay, container, little piece of foam in it, interesting. And I put it on my shelf and let it sit there for a while. But then I started to play with these. And as I started to play with these, I discovered that these are actually pretty amazing. They're amazing on a number of different levels. They're small, and yet you can do an amazing amount of different things with these. They will enable you to come up with some really, really cool stuff. They happen to be set up so that they come with the foam already in them. And they're set up so that there are prongs inside of them. See the little prongs? And it fits perfectly. And you can take the foam out, soak it, put it back in here, and it's got a very, very sleek kind of contemporary feeling to it. But the thing I like about it is it also has a reservoir, so that when you're working with this particular product, you can literally put extra water in here, and it helps hydrate your flowers so they'll hold up well for you. It's one of these tools that is really cool because it'll work in the background well for you, and you can come up with all kinds of really, really neat things with it. I'm very impressed with this tool. It is, as I said, a secret weapon that we've discovered that really enables us. And just to give you an idea, let's make something using this, just so you get a sense of how you can come up with some really, really cool things. Just because it's a small little container, and this one, as I said, I'm using the large one here in this demo. Let me move the others just one side for a second. We're going to use the large one, which, as I said, is a little over 8 inches. It's around 8 3/4 technically. But starting it off, let's just show you, just because it is small doesn't necessarily mean that we can't come up high. And I'm starting off with a couple of pieces of my river cane, coming up fairly high on it. So in other words, don't let the fact that you've got a small piece of foam discourage you. This foam can hold a lot of stuff. And as you can see, I'm not letting the size of my base stop me in any way. Now I'm going to continue with the height using some of my materials, and I'm going to deliberately on this design pick everyday materials to play with, just so you can get a sense, my viewer, of how you can come up with some really, really cool things using these tools and come up with some really cool results, quick and easy. I'm going to start with my liatris, or blazing star. Happens to be one of my favorite flowers. And I'm placing a couple alongside one of my river canes on the right side, on the left side. And then I'm going to continue the process of adding another one of my pieces of liatris or blazing star over onto the right side. As you can see, I'm doing something that has 2 verticals in it. We normally call this kind of configuration a parallel design. So we're going to come up with parallelism, and notice how we can come up with parallelism with this small itty bitty container and do it fairly easily. I'm going to take a piece of liatris stem and work that in, because As you'll see before we're through, my viewer, we have used more than 3 liatris, and I have a little of their stems left. and I don't like wasting them. I like using them decoratively. So I'm going to take a stem of liatris, place it on the left side. I'm going to take another couple of stems and place them over onto the right side. So we're following a kind of a classic parallel kind of configuration with flowers on the left side, flowers on the right side. We've created the overall height using our river cane and using our liatris. Now I'm going to deliberately start taking some other materials that I would consider to be everyday kinds of materials. Let's use some of our mini carnations. And I'm going to put a little piece of minis right here on this side. I'm going to do a similar kind of configuration over onto the other side here, taking again a couple of our mini carnations. In other words, you don't have to use the fanciest or the most expensive. You can come up with some pretty cool things using everyday type materials. And to follow that along, I'm also going to take some of my daisy palms, which are a very, very common material, and I'm going to start following my line that I've created using the liatris and the river cane, using some of our daisy palms, just working it gradually down on this side. I'm going to follow a similar kind of configuration on the other side, once again taking some of my daisy palms and working a piece here, and then maybe a piece coming down a little bit farther here. So notice, with very little, we're coming up with something that's kind of interesting. And to come up with a focal point on our design, I'm going to take a little bit of lily, a lily flower, and place it right here. I'm going to take another lily flower on the other side, place it over along here. So we have a couple of lilies coming down towards our double focal area. And then I'm going to go back to my mini carnations, and I'm going to add some more minis, just gradually coming down, using my mini carnation surrounding my lily flower. I guess I could work in another, I can sneak in another daisy palm. Let's work in another daisy palm right down here on the base. And then work a couple of our mini carnations coming around. Notice, it's a small little piece, a very, very small little piece of foam in a small little container, and yet look at the coverage, my viewer, that I'm able to get using this. I'm going to do a similar kind of process over onto the other side. I have a little daisy palm here. Let's work one over on this side just for balance. And then I'm going to continue taking some of my mini carnations, and I'm going to just work them down and around where I happen to have my flowers here. And so I'm working, coming around my lily with a few more small pieces using my mini carnations, coming around like this. So notice, my viewer, it's not taking much, but I'm able to come up with a very, very pretty parallel type design. Now obviously I'm not going to leave my foam uncovered. I'm going to take a little bit of my sheet moss, and I'm going to place it in here, and I'm going to attach my sheet moss using small little pieces of wire forming little hairpins. It's a little kind of upside down U, and I'm going to take some pieces of my sheet moss and work it in. I could use foliage too if I wanted to, but for the sake of keeping this video fairly short and keeping it moving along, it's a little bit faster in terms of adding some pieces of my sheet moss, and I'm working it in here and there just to cover my mechanics up using this. And I would also continue working some of this over onto the back side. This is a one-sided piece, but we would make sure that both of our sides are covered. And notice, my viewer, quick, easy, simple, and fun. That's the Rittner Floral School way. And notice that with just 3 of our liatris or blazing star, a couple of lily flowers taken off of one stem of lily, and a stem or 2 of daisy palm and mini carnation. Very, very little content, but look at how this really gives a very, very showy and a very, very pretty effect. That's why I like this particular tool. The container itself makes our life very, very easy to come up with something like this. And I've done these, put enough water into them so that you can have these hold up very, very well for a few days. It works very, very nicely. But wait, there's more. Let's show you what you can do with this. Yes, I've shown you in this video how you can take a table deco base and come up with a parallel design on it. But now let me show you why I love this container so much, because it's a starting point. We can do other things. For example, we can display this just as you see it right here. No problem. However, if I wanted to, I could use this almost like a liner and place my design into something that's bigger and more impressive. It enables me to do something like that very, very quickly, easily. I don't have water floating around in my base, and I can come up with a pretty spectacular effect doing that. But wait, there's more. You say you don't have one of these things, or you don't want to use something like this to come up with this kind of effect? No problem. Let me show you how you can take these, and this is really cool. You're going to love this. I can take just the holder itself, the table deco base, and I can combine it with others. For example, here we have a large table deco base. Prior to doing the video, I made something else using a medium one, using the same materials. That's why I ended up having a few extra stems of liatris here. Or, going in the other direction, I can add one here. So the neat thing about this kind of container is that we can use them in groupings. And notice that with just 3 containers, a large table deco base and 2 of the medium table deco bases using the same materials, now we have something a little bit more complex. This could be used very, very effectively for a mantle. It could also be used very, very effectively in terms of party work. In other words, we could make something like this, place it on a buffet table, and place food station at this, or on a buffet table with dishes and food and so forth around it. We can do all kinds of configurations too. For example, I could move this one over here. I could take these 2, place them together like this, and now we've got a slightly different configuration with them. Or I could take this guy here, and I could place this at a weird angle here like so, and place these facing in slightly different directions and have it kind of sneaking down a table. In other words, we can do all kinds of cool things using these containers and using them in what we call here at Rittners Floral School a modular format. In other words, using more than one base to come up with an interesting kind of design. Sections, all working together. What do you think, my viewer? Pretty cool, huh? Once again, consider these kinds of things. When you see some of these things around, take them, experiment with them, play with them. Well, my viewer, we've covered a lot in a very, very short period of time. You've seen how you can make a parallel design using a table deco holder. But in addition to that, you've seen how you can take this base, put it into another base, or you can use it in a modular kind of format. On behalf of all of us here at Rittners Floral School, I'm Dr. Steve Rittner. I hope that you've enjoyed this brief how-to video. And thanks again to the folks at Smithers Oasis for coming up with some pretty amazing things that enable us as floral designers. Thank you for coming in and visiting Rittners Floral School.